Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be doing my February reading wrap up, March TBR. Echo with me. You can go. And yeah, I read 6 books in February and I'm in the middle of 2, so I'll kind of talk about that. All right, so the first book I read was Twilight. I've been listening to all of the Twilight books, just to kind of relive that nostalgia. And I want to read Midnight Sun and possibly Life After Death. So this was where I started, obviously. And I really enjoyed it. Watched the movie afterwards. I did vlog this experience if you'd like to go watch that. Yeah, I loved this, and just for nostalgia, I rated this a 4 out of 5. And immediately after, I read New Moon, or I listened to New Moon, and this one's always kind of been my least favorite. I did give it a 2 out of 5 just because this one is slower to me, even though there's a lot of Jacob, and I was a huge Jacob girly. Like, I don't know. This one's always been my least favorite, so I still didn't really enjoy it. The movie, I think, was better than the book. So next, I read Hopeless. I did read this last year, but I wanted to kind of refresh my memory so that I could read the rest of the series. And so I read Hopeless and I loved it. I rated it 4 out of 5 because it was a little slow in some parts, but I did love this book. The next book I read was You, which is kind of a thriller romance, serial killer romance, I guess. And I watched the first 2 seasons of the show before I decided to read the book. And I would say that the first book is pretty accurate to the series, season 1, but there are some changes. I really loved this and I rated it 5 out of 5. It was my first 5-star book of February, so loved that. Then I read Losing Hope, and I rated this book a 4 out of 5. This is basically Hopeless told in Holder's perspective. So I really liked this, and I thought his perspective was a little better than Hope's, just because there was more background to it. The next book I read was After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. She is like my favorite, like my new favorite author. Every book I've read by her has been so good, either a 4 or 5. This is a 4 out of 5 star, and I just loved the storyline, and I just loved it. It's a second chance romance about a married couple, and they like kind of take a break from each other for a year, and they just are trying to kind of enhance the relationship. And I really liked this book. Then I read The Rescue. Oh, I gave this a 4 out of 5. I read The Rescue by Nicholas Sparks, and I usually like Nicholas Sparks books, but this is the first one I've ever rated a 2 out of 5 star. I thought it was going to be more romance than it was. It's about this lady, and her, like, the beginning was super good because it was kind of a mystery. This lady like loses her son, and she finds a volunteer fireman, and then they like fall in love, but there's like a bunch of really dark things from their past that like keep them from staying in love. And I don't know, there's just a lot that goes on in this book, and it was really slow though, and so I gave it a 2 out of 5. Then I have Pride and Prejudice. This was my first time ever reading Pride and Prejudice. I haven't read a ton of classics. I will say I loved listening to this book. I think if I would have physically read it, it would have been really hard to read. So I'm really glad that I physically read this book, and I of course rated it 5 out of 5 stars. I'm currently in the middle of 2 books. The first one is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I should finish it within the next 2 days, I think. Honestly, this was super slow to start, and now I'm almost done with the book and it's finally starting to get interesting. So I don't know. This is my first Emily Henry book, and I was told this one is not her best after I started reading it. So I'm like, I need to finish it. I actually want to know what happens. So, and then A Touch of Malice, A Touch of Chaos comes out in March. So I wanted to read this before A Touch of Chaos came out. I'm also pretty close to being finished with this one. I prefer listening to this series better. I think the audiobooks are just so good for this series. So I usually do 1 audiobook and 1 physical read at a time, like at the same time. All right, the first book that's not the first book I want to read in March. The first physical read I want to read after Happy Place is Hidden Bodies by Carolina Kepnes. This is the second book in the You series. I just picked it up from the library today. And I'm excited to get into it and see how different it is from season 2 of You, because I've heard that one is pretty different. And then the first audiobook I am going to listen to is Eclipse. And I really loved Eclipse when I was younger. Breaking Dawn is my favorite, or has been my favorite forever. But Eclipse is probably my favorite movie adaptation. So, and then after Eclipse, I'm going to physically read The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner because it goes with it. Yeah. And then for another audiobook I'm going to listen to this month is Crooked Kingdom. I listened to 6 of Crows on audiobook and I loved it. And then if I finish this on audiobook, I'm probably going to listen to Shadow and Bone because I am actually meeting Lee Bardugo on my birthday next month. So I want to read more of her books before that happens because so far I've only read 6 of Crows. I want to read Finding Cinderella by Colleen Hoover because this is the 3rd book in the Hopeless series and it's pretty short, so should not take me long at all to read. Another book I want to listen to this month is The Truth About Melody Brown, and I'm excited. I really enjoyed Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, and I know this one's more of like a kind of a lit fic mystery more vibe, so I am excited to dive into more Lisa Jewell. I'm finally gonna read The Playlist by Morgan Elizabeth. I just know this is the book, if you're a Swiftie, that just, there's so many references to like the Swiftie universe, and I'm super excited to dig into this book. And then The Silent Patient. I cannot wait to read this book. I cannot wait to read this because I've just always heard really good things about this book and it's time. I'm gonna read it now. Like, it's gonna happen. So that is all of the books I plan on reading in the month of March and every book I've read in the month of February. Thank you so much for watching this video. Stay beautiful. Bye.